Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei One-Shot Story Collection Movie 3. Before we start, please go support Issei Gremory 117 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Story 1, what if Issei abandoned by girls and made harem with past friends? After defeating Loki, Issei is abandoned by his girls, so he decides to return to his past self and reunite with old acquaintances. My true self. Chapter 1, Unearthing My Past. After defeating the god Loki, we can see our protagonist thinking about recent events. Flashback, Rias and the other girls had been distant with the brunette to the point that they no longer spent time with him. This had saddened Issei. One day the brunette was sleeping and had a dream. ISSES dream I. Girl Issei, I'll be waiting for you until you return home. I wish you luck on your mission, my dear Issei. Remember that I will always love you, darling. With a tender smile. Suddenly, Issei wakes up agitated from sleep and with an expression of warmth and love. After this peculiar morning, the chestnut-haired boy went downstairs to prepare breakfast, since he had had to learn to cook and do other things since the girls were no longer home much. After breakfast, he got ready to go to school. On the way, he found a scene that would leave him so petrified that his Medusa eyes seemed like something from Children. In front of him were the girls with several boys who apparently were their boyfriends. Felix, Rias' boyfriend, a blonde-haired boy with green eyes who, in her words, is a prince in every sense of the word. Sam was a tall, black-haired boy skilled in kendo, Akino's boyfriend. Chris was a third-grade boy who helped Kaneko with her studies until they began to develop mutual feelings to the point of formalizing a relationship. He was a tall, intelligent, brown-haired boy, not at all perverted, which the little Nekomata liked. Peter was a white-haired boy who, like Asia, was shy and a little clumsy, and he shared several hobbies with the blonde, such as his devotion to God. Sebastian was Zenovia's boyfriend, a blue-haired, athletic-built boy with blue-black eyes who was a member of the science club. Alex was Irina's boyfriend who, like her, was a reincarnated angel. He was the 10 of hearts of the Archangel Michael and one of the strongest in heaven. Stan was Ravel's boyfriend. He met him on one of the trips he made to see the brunette and he was drawn to his personality, so he forgot about the brunette. Issei was already used to this, so he didn't pay much attention to it. Casting a spell, he changed his appearance. Now he had black hair and a slimmer build. He walked past the girls without them noticing him and made his way to school. Once there, Issei headed to his classroom while all the girls watched him. Since the Gremory girls had left him, he had stopped being a pervert and trained every day, so his physique had improved. Now he looked like this. His hair changed from brown to white because when he surrendered his body to Drake, the dividing gear fused with him, altering his appearance. Upon arriving at his classroom, the girls greeted him with shouts like, "Girls, good morning, Issei-sama. Hello, handsome, daddy sodomized me," among other things that made the white-haired boy blush. After a few minutes, the teacher entered the classroom and said, "Sensei, quiet everyone. Today we have a new classmate, so treat her well, okay?" He gestured for her to come in. Then the door opened, revealing a stunning girl who had nothing to envy in anyone. All the boys shouted with joy, while others cried with emotion, and some thanked God for, in their words, a goddess. "Girl, good morning, my name is Elizabeth. It's a pleasure to meet you all, I hope we get along well." Suddenly, the white-haired boy stood up abruptly from his chair and said, "Idili, is that you?" with tears welling in his eyes. End of chapter 2, Finding Love and Forgetting the Past. After the girl, now identified as Elizabeth, introduced herself, the white-haired boy calmed down and waited for her to finish her introduction under the gaze of the students who murmured things like, "They will meet, it's something about Hyoudou among others." Sensei, okay guys, calm down, please continue, gesturing for him to continue with his presentation. Eli, well, I come from Europe and I'm new to the country, so I don't know much about Japan, so I'm counting on you to teach me about your culture. The teacher asked if anyone had any questions for their classmate and the men didn't hesitate. One of them asked if she had a boyfriend, to which she simply nodded, gazing lovingly at a certain white-haired boy. This didn't go unnoticed by his fans, who in their minds cursed the girl for having a better body than them and trying to steal their prince. The teacher showed her where she could sit, and by sheer chance, PS hahaha, just because I felt like it, there was an empty seat next to Issei. This was Elizabeth, a blonde girl with ample curves, not to mention her striking natural beauty that would make any man want to do something less than holy with her. After her introduction, classes proceeded normally until recess, when Issei asked if they could eat together. They spent the time talking about how much they missed each other and their plans for the future. Issei proposed that she live with him since the money from the Oppai Dragon program was enough to buy a house. He didn't want to keep hearing girls talk about how wonderful their boyfriends were. After searching, he and his fiancée finally found one that looked more like a mansion than a house. This would be Hyoudou's new residence. After buying it, they went to his old house to get the white-haired boy's things. On the way, they talked about what he would do now that his mission was over and what he would do regarding his mistress, Rias Gremory. Before they knew it, they had arrived at their destination, so he went inside, not realizing that the girls would be in the living room talking about their current partners. Rias, tell me, Asia, how are things going with Peter? I heard he confessed his feelings to you a few days ago. Asia, well, actually, we had a date today and he gave me this plush panda showing the toy. They were all talking about their dates with their current partners without noticing the presence of a certain white-haired boy and his companion, who quickly went to their room to pack everything and leave that house. A few minutes later, everything was ready for them to leave for the new house when suddenly Drake spoke. Draig, partner, I'm sorry about the Gremory girl, but how long will we keep up this charade? You have no idea how degrading it was to act like we were weak. Issei, I know Drake, but Niasama's orders are that we have to keep this up until I graduate high school, so we'll have to keep it up a little longer, right, darling? Eli, you're right, love, we'll have to keep up this ruse a little longer, even though I don't like that redhead girl thinking she owns my Issei. She said this while pouting, which the white-haired boy thought was very cute. After that brief conversation, the couple used a shuttle to reach their new home where they unpacked. Eli decided she would sleep with her beloved Issei, who didn't object to her decision. Several hours later, the two set out to visit an old acquaintance of the white-haired boy. Several minutes later, Mahou Castle. A couple could be seen appearing outside the Mahou mansion where they were greeted by a maid who showed them the way to their master's laboratory. Upon arrival, the maid informed them of the visitors and the Mahou came out to receive them. Ajuka, welcome, Issei. I'm sorry about Ryashin's entourage, although I see you're all right now. She said this while looking at the young woman who was holding Issei's arm. Issei, that's right, Ajuka-sama, but I've come to ask you a favor. Ajuka, and what would that favor be? He said this with a raised eyebrow and an intriguing tone. Issei asked if he could make him a set of evil pieces, to which the green-haired man readily agreed. Ajuka, very well, first I want you to make a sphere of power the size of a soccer ball. Issei did so and handed the sphere to the green-haired man, who then left to turn it into a set of pieces. 2 hours later, Ajuka appeared with a wooden box which he gave to the white-haired man containing his set of pieces. Ajuka, well, from now on you're a Suprema-class demon. I'll tell the other Mahous about this, but I don't think they'll object. After all, you're the hero of the underworld. If that's all, it was nice seeing you, but I have paperwork to do. He said this while anime-style tears fell from his face, causing the couple to sweat. Issei, it was nice seeing you, Ajuka-sama. I hope we can talk another day. After that, the young men disappeared, only to reappear at the Hyoudou mansion. Minutes earlier in the park, we could see the girl's boyfriend strolling around, very affectionate with other girls, unaware that the Gremory girls were watching them with tears in their eyes. Riass POV, this can't be true, he just played with my feelings. Why did I leave Issei? WHY, AKNOS POV, ISSIKUN, please forgive me, I don't know how I could leave you when I promised to love YOU. Asia's POV, ISSISAN, please forgive me. KONEKO's POV, ISSISMPAI, please forgive me. The other girls had similar thoughts about winning back a certain brunette, unaware of his change in appearance. End of chapter. Chapter 3, Assembling MY Entourage. After the Gremory girls witnessed the pain of betrayal, a certain white-haired man was seen standing before his girlfriend, whom he hadn't seen for 2 years. Issei, well, Eli, I want to ask you something, he said while kneeling in a marriage proposal pose. Would you make me the happiest man in the world by being my queen and my fiancé? He pulled out a ring with a beautiful, sparkling stone. Eli, why's my love, I accept to be your queen and fiancé, although I know that because of your dragon genes I won't be the only one, but I don't mind sharing you as long as I'm the leader in your harem, she said this while shedding a few tears. Issei, thank you for accepting the feelings of this clumsy dragon with a damaged heart. Besides, nobody knows me better than you. You know everything about me and I know everything about you. I've missed you these 2 years we were apart, but we're finally together, shedding a few tears. Lemon skipped. After coming 7 times with the white-haired man thrusting into the blonde forcefully in different positions, they finally lay down, exhausted, to share a tender kiss full of love and affection and fell asleep cuddled together. The next morning, the sun's rays filtered through the window, waking our protagonist. Feeling an extra weight on his left arm, he turned to see his girlfriend sleeping peacefully nestled against his chest. Smiling, he gently nudged her awake. As she sat up, the blonde gave him a fleeting, loving kiss. After getting up, they went to have breakfast. The silence was comfortable and their happiness was palpable. Hours later, they prepared to go to a forest where they would search for a familiar for Issei. They searched for a long time, finding different creatures, but none convinced him until they heard a thunderous roar that shook the earth. Heading towards the source of the roar, they saw a wolf. Upon seeing him, Issei immediately stepped in front of the wolf, who upon seeing him assumed a fighting stance. The wolf lunged at the white-haired boy, slashing with its claws, which Issei easily dodged, countering with a direct right punch to the wolf's snout. The wolf then began emitting lightning and a liquid resembling toxic waste, before increasing in size until it was twice Issei's. It then launched balls of green plasma, a powerful acid. The albino began running around the wolf to dodge the acid projectiles. As the speed increased, a vortex formed, gradually suffocating the wolf, which could barely stand. After a few minutes, Issei unleashed a barrage of blows ranging from punches and kicks to draconic power, which finally defeated the wolf. The wolf merely bowed its head in reverence before Issei, who then created a magic circle to seal the pact with his new familiar, having proven himself worthy. With their new family member, they prepared to return home. Issei's house. Upon arriving home, they were surprised to see their old friend Sean, who was waiting in the living room to talk to the white-haired boy. Minutes later, after catching up on recent events, Sean decided to become part of Issei's entourage, who gave him the horse piece, saying the following. By order of Issei Hyoudou you, I ask you Issei Choen to walk again in this world, accept your darkness and embrace your light, become my knight and fight by my side against adversity. After reciting this oath, the horse piece entered Sean's chest while shining, just as Eli's chest shone with a flash in the shape of a queen and a horse respectively. Later, the three sat down to eat peacefully, unaware that in an unknown place, three shadows were meeting and planning something unknown. Back with Issei and Sean, they were training in one of the underground levels of the house. Minutes later, Eli joined the two on one sparring match. However, the difference in power was noticeable, as Issei was winning with ease despite his two servants being at the level of a faction leader. After their training, Issei gathered them in the living room to deliver an announcement. Issei, guys, I've gathered you here to let you know that in 2 days we'll be leaving for Russia to recruit new members for my entourage. The two boys nodded and settled down to enjoy the rest of the afternoon watching movies and eating snacks while lounging on the sofas. Issei and Eli were embracing on the same sofa. End of chapter. Chapter 4, Seeking New Members and Leaving the Past Behind. After 2 days, they were ready to set out in search of new pieces for the white-haired nobleman's collection. Creating a teleportation circle, they appeared in a misty forest to begin their search. A figure had spotted them in the shadows and decided to observe them, camouflaging itself within the darkness. The group of young people ventured deeper into the forest. Once inside, Issei began reciting a chant in an ancient language, causing a green circle to glow and reveal a white sheet of paper with a drawing. Issei, we need to collect 4 sheets like this to open the pocket dimension where she is sealed. They all split up to find one of the 3 necessary sheets. With Issei Choen. He had reached a place with a large, crystal-clear lake where he set about investigating how to find his part, until the sky changed color to a dark purple from which a flock of 6 birds of prey appeared. But these were larger than average, and their beak and wings could cut anything with the slightest touch. Sean just gave a small smile of satisfaction, and without thinking twice he launched himself against the birds using his spears. Using his spears in a swift motion, he made a spinning cut, then launched beams of light that struck the flock directly, killing 3 of them. The birds formed a formation to attack, launching themselves at Sean, damaging his clothes a little and making small cuts as he used his agility to dodge with some difficulty. In the end, he recited the chant. Spear of light and darkness, give me your power. Take what you want from me, my blood, my soul, my spirit, or my energy. Just give me the power to kill my adversaries. Upon finishing the chant, a sphere of power appeared at the tip of the weapon, which was fired, destroying a motorcycle and leaving not even ashes of her adversaries. As she killed the flock, a leaf similar to the previous one appeared. Taking it, she prepared to rejoin the others. With Eli. She arrived in an arid zone devoid of life until the ground began to tremble and large cracks appeared. From these cracks emerged 2 enormous worms with 5 rows of teeth arranged in a circle. They occupied the tunnels beneath the ground to move around and attack the blonde, who simply rose into the sky to summon small, dark vortices. They absorbed the blonde's magic power and teleported it around the worms, who could only receive the full force of the attack from all directions. Unfortunately, the worm's shell was very hard, so the attacks had little effect. Seeing this, Eli recited her chant to summon her power at 10%. Darkness that dwells in the void, I present myself before you so that, like Prometheus, I can steal your power to destroy my enemies and control your being. Do not resist and submit to my will. When the singing ended, vortices reappeared, but these had changed their shape, now they looked like this. The peculiarity of these holes was that, just like the sacred gear of the Sitri clan queen, it doubled the power of the absorbed attack. By increasing the power, the worms had no chance. They were dismembered, and their parts were found around the terrain as a sheet of paper fell to the ground in time with the wind, so he prepared to retreat with the others. With Issei. He had reached a frozen zone where nothing could be seen but snow and frozen lakes, until he received a blow with enough force to send him flying through 2 mountains. Upon getting up, he let out a small laugh of happiness at seeing his opponents, who were ice giants with large ice maces that charged at the white-haired man, who only dedicated himself to dodging the attacks until he activated his boosted gear. Drig, partner, it seems these ice cubes won't do much for warming up, hee, with a smile that would put the Cheshire Cat to shame. Issei, it seems you're right. I already missed fighting powerful creatures in my adventures, haha, come to me, Twilight. At that moment, a sword appeared which, when wielded by Issei, transformed into two, one with the power of light and the other with the power of darkness. I also summoned her familiar. Come to me, Zadkiel, I need your power to annihilate those who interfere with my ambitions. Through a magic circle, the wolf appeared, ready to aid his master. The two sides prepared for the epic battle. The wolf was the first to attack, spitting acid at the giant, who could only defend himself with what remained of his mace. In a desperate attempt, the giant tried to crush the wolf with a single blow, but the wolf remained unfazed. Instead, he analyzed the situation before covering his body in lightning and the same green liquid from before, charging at the giant and piercing his chest, killing him instantly and tearing out his heart. Having finished his fight, he turned to look at his master, surprised that it was already over. Minutes earlier, Issei could be seen launching himself against his opponent, delivering a combination of blows and cuts in all directions, combining light and darkness to ultimately enhance it with Drake's help. The second giant tried to hit him with his bat, but using his enhanced speed, he ran to face the giant and before he could react, used his two swords to pierce him from his head to his chest, leaving him in agony. He then approached him slowly and whispered to him, Issei, congratulations, you made me use 5% of my power. I had a lot of fun, thank you, now rest in peace. He launched a sphere of power, killing him. After collecting the last leaf, he left to rejoin his peerage. Minutes later, everyone was gathered and proceeded to unite all the leaves. When they joined, they formed a blinding light, revealing a huge golden door with very eccentric and extremely elaborate details. The group opened the heavy door to see a blue-haired girl with an incredible figure inside a chained sphere, seemingly hibernating. Issei approached the sphere to add a little power, causing it to burst. Before the girl hit the ground, she was caught by the white-haired boy who carried her princess style to take her home. End of chapter. Chapter 5, Old Friendships and Heartbreak. Upon arriving home, Issei laid the blue-haired girl on an empty bed. The trio went downstairs to the living room to wait for her to wake up. Meanwhile, at the old Hyoudou residence, a group of girls were worried because they hadn't heard from their pawn and fellow peer. It had been a while since they'd heard from the brown-haired boy. They searched everywhere after school, sometimes even skipping classes to look for their beloved. One day, Rias was sad because she hadn't heard from her beloved pawn, so she went to lie down on the bed she shared with him. She felt a discomfort among the pillows, and when she looked for the source of the discomfort, she came across a letter from Issei for the girls. POV letter. Girls, if you're reading this letter, it's for one of two reasons. Either I'm dead and I'm trying to motivate you with this letter, or you abandon me. Whatever the reason, I want you to know that you won't see me again as my mission is over. You might be wondering what my mission was, and it was to infiltrate all three factions to gain your trust and discover your weaknesses. Now that I've spent 2 years with you, I know everything about you. I'm sorry if I played with your feelings, but don't worry, just as you forgot me, I will too, and I'll find someone to replace you. P.S. Don't ever look for me again. Upon finishing the letter, Rias began to cry inconsolably, as did the girls who had been spying when she started reading it. They all ran out of the house to find the brunette, to clarify their feelings and perhaps make him reconsider. With Issei. After a couple of hours, the girl finally woke up to find herself in a room unfamiliar to her. Looking around, she noticed some familiar faces and, without thinking twice, threw herself at the white-haired boy who could barely hold her. Before he could say anything, he was silenced with a kiss full of love and affection which was reciprocated. Girl, I missed you, my Issei. You have no idea how much I missed you, love. With tears of happiness and love in her eyes. Issei, I missed you too, Sue, but now we're together again. Issei and the now identified Sue talked, updating the blue-haired girl on what happened in her absence. Issei, Sue, now that you've woken up from your dream, I have something to ask you, blushing and on his knees. Will you be my fiancé and my bishop? Upon being proposed this, the girl simply offered a happy smile before accepting. By order of Issei Hyoudou Yo, I ask Hyoudou Sue to become my bishop, lend me your power for my ambitions, and give me your love so I have a reason to fight and live. With my help, we will destroy our enemies who refuse the SHADOWS. As the sentence ended, a glow appeared on Sue's chest, and the bishop piece entered her body, causing the other pieces to glow accordingly, reflecting their respective positions in the hierarchy. Now you're part of our family, I love you, Sue, and you too, Eli. He kissed them tenderly. What? After this tender moment, the group of young people decided to rest before going to school tomorrow. The next morning, Issei woke up still a little sleepy to find 2 lumps under his sheets. It was none other than his naked girlfriends snuggled up to him. He lovingly nudged them to wake them, finally succeeding on the 12th try. After breakfast, the 4 of them were heading to school when Sean asked him something that stopped the group. Sean, hey Issei, how many pieces have you used in total? Hearing the question, the girls were unsure what their boyfriend would say. Issei, in total, I've used 2 pieces besides you two, but you'll find out about them later. The young men sighed in response to what the white-haired boy had said. Upon arriving at school, everyone stared at the group of boys with different reactions. The girls sighed with love at the sight of the 2 new princes, and with jealousy of the girls who were holding onto Issei's arm, while the men were shouting with joy at their luck at seeing the 2 beautiful, well-built girls and wanting to punch the pretty boys for being lucky enough to walk next to them. Upon arriving at the student council, they were greeted by Sona Sitri, who blushed at the sight of the white-haired boy. He was not only handsome but had also improved his grades, becoming the top student in the school and even surpassing Sona in chess. Issei asked her to enroll her peerage in the school, as they were in the same class as Issei. Upon entering, they were greeted by everyone with loud screams, making it clear that everyone had a partner and that it was the white-haired boy except for Sean who was available. This caused the girls to start fantasizing about the redhead's body. Classes passed normally until dismissal time when the popular group was resting from the overwhelming attention of the students. Sean, it's time to end this, don't you think, Issei? Issei, you're right, it's time to bury the past. With a determined look. Upon arriving at the occult hall, Issei knocked loudly, waiting a few minutes before the door opened, revealing a voluptuous girl with long black hair asking his reason for being there. Issei, entering quickly and decisively, Rias, I've come to deliver this to you. He hands her the 8 pawn pieces. From now on, you no longer have the most powerful Sekiryuutei under your control and our engagement is cancelled. Rias couldn't say anything due to the shock she was experiencing at that moment, seeing the new appearance of her former pawn who was quite the heartthrob in the eyes of the girls. Everyone in the room was also in shock and didn't say a single word. Issei, well that's it. Just like I resigned from the club, now that I'm a supreme class devil, I'll get on with my life. This wasn't a pleasure, Gremory clan. Indifferent look. Rias was the first to snap out of her trance. Please, Issei, don't go, don't abandon me, I love you. With tears in her eyes. Issei, hahaha, don't mess with me. If you really loved me, you wouldn't have abandoned me, but I guess we're even. Kissing his 2 girlfriends, I'm sorry, but I don't love you anymore. Turning to leave. All the girls were shocked by what they had just seen. The man of their lives had found someone else to heal his broken heart. None of them could move. Only Irina managed to run after the white-haired boy, stopping him by grabbing his shoulder. Issei, Irina, let go of me. Even though you were my childhood friend, you're nothing to me now. Let go of me before something bad happens to you. Irina, no, I'll never leave you. I only love you and I want to be with you. Crying. Before she could continue speaking, someone burst through the window, shattering it in the process and hitting Irina, sending her crashing into a wall. Everyone volley, Issei, you're late volley, hee, smiling at him lovingly and affectionately. Vali, I'm sorry my Issei, but I had something to take care of before coming to you. Smiling tenderly and looking at the white-haired boy. Everyone was stunned by this scene, imagining Issei batting for the other team, running hand in hand with Volley, jumping over flowers while a rainbow formed behind them. Suddenly, Issei spoke. Issei, guys, let me introduce you to my 2 mutated pawns. This is Volley Lucifer and this is my 3rd fiancé. Looking at his companions. Suddenly, Kali began to glow, then changed her form into that of a girl with an excellent athletic figure and kissed the white-haired boy. Upon transforming, she introduced herself. Vali, nice to meet you. As my boyfriend said, I'm Volley Lucifer, daughter of the former demon king, and I'm a girl. Forgive me for lying, but it was to keep our relationship a secret. Looking at her boyfriend. All the girls were stunned. Volley was a woman, Issei's 2 pawns were the airplane owner and the divine dividing, and to top it all off, the 2 white-haired individuals had been in a relationship for a long time. Rias, Issei, what does this mean? How is it possible that she's your fiancé and that you've been in a relationship since before you met me? Asia, Issei, please don't go, let us explain. Kaniko, Issei, I miss you, forgive me. Akino, Ara, Issei-kun, I feel so cold at night since you stopped sleeping with me. Licking her lips. Issei, that's none of your business. It's my clan's business, so with nothing more to do, we'll take our leave. Goodbye, Gremory clan. He exits through a magic circle. All the girls began to cry inconsolably because they had lost Issei and were mentally devastated. Rias, don't cry girls, we'll get Issei back no matter how long it takes to make him fall in love with us again. All yes, we'll get our Issei back no matter what. Issei's house. Well, now that almost everyone is here, we'll start making the plan for the mission. Everything must go well, Issei said. Get ready, it's time to pay a visit to the Chaos Brigade. End of chapter. Chapter 6, Traveling to the Underworld and Trouble with the Chaos Brigade. In the underworld, a magic circle appeared, from which 5 people emerged. In front of the Gremory mansion, they were greeted by a white-haired maid who led them to their king. I don't recall the maid rushing to hug Issei upon seeing him, as she cared for him deeply and was hurt by what Rias had done to him. Hahaha, I think it's love. Upon reaching Sirzechs, Issei spoke. Issei, hello Sirzechs, it's been a while since I've seen you, arrogant smile. As you know, our agreement has ended. I will no longer be your sister's babysitter, so I've come for my payment. Furthermore, I've come to inform you that I control the Chaos Brigade, so I'll have to teach them a lesson to stop this nonsense. Sirzechs, hahaha, I see you're assembling your retinue and have some strong pieces. I'm sorry for what my foolish sister did to you, and I understand why you're ending our agreement. Oh well, I'll have to find someone to take care of her. I hope you understand the idiots in the Chaos Brigade, your true objective. I already know that you knew Graphica isn't my real wife or my queen, so I'm making you an offer. Why don't you take Graphica to your mansion and get to know each other better? Besides, she'll be your personal maid. Issei, I'll only accept if she agrees. Graphica just nodded, blushing deeply. Alright then, Graphica will come with me. Sirzechs, you're a great friend of mine, I love you like a brother. As I promised, here are a few drops of Zadkil's blood. With this, you can completely cure your wife. Sirzech, thank you, Issei-kun, I appreciate it very much. With tears in his eyes, Issei simply nodded as if to say, it's not a big deal, before taking his leave, as did Sirzechs, who rushed to his laboratory to create the medicine for his wife. The 5 young people and the maid arrived at Issei's house through a magic circle. When they arrived, Issei told her that this would be their new home and that she didn't have to worry about cleaning since it was an autonomous house, meaning it cleaned and maintained itself with the help of magic. Grayfia was just amazed by the technology of the house since there wouldn't be many chores. Everyone went to sleep, the girls with Issei and Grayfia in another room that he had shown her previously. Lemon skipped. The next morning, Issei was waking up to find his 3 girls lying next to him, Eli clinging to his left arm, Sue on his right, and Volley on top of him. The white-haired boy gently moved them to try and wake them up. Once he succeeded, the 4 of them went down to the dining room to find Grayfia, who simply bowed in greeting. Grayfia, good morning, Issei-sama, bowing slightly, blushing. Looks like you forgot to put on a shirt, hee. Issei, good morning, Grayfia. A little sleepy, looking at his torso, why don't I have a shirt on? Revealing his well-defined torso and sculpted chest. The girls had level 4 nosebleeds from that scene and from how carefree their boyfriend could be. The days passed, and since it was winter break, there were no classes. They decided to go to the castle Issei owned in his territory in the underworld. Day of the trip. Everyone was ready to leave. During this time, Issei had deepened his relationship with Grayfia to the point that they only called each other by their first names. This took a lot of work from the white-haired boy, and from time to time the white-haired girl would sneak into Issei's bed. Once everyone was gathered, they took the train to the underworld. Unfortunately for Issei, the Gremory clan was traveling in the next car. They were happy to see their love, thinking they would have the opportunity to apologize. Poor things, they don't know the truth. But when the white-haired boy passed by without even looking at them, they became sad, not to mention that seeing the 3 girls clinging to Issei made them feel like their hearts were breaking in two. When the train passed through Gremory territory, Rias and her clan hurriedly got off, thinking that a certain possessor of Drake would also do so. Great was their surprise when they saw that the train continued on its way. Sadly, they went towards the entrance, where they were greeted by some maids. A woman who looked like Rias but with brown hair and a sad expression came out. Venelana, daughter, I know what you're thinking. Your former pawn went to his territory, which he possesses as a supremaclass demon. Venelana had recently divorced her husband, Seekvaira, due to problems related to her daughter's mistake with her former pawn. Rias, I understand, mother, but I truly don't know what to do to make Issei forgive me. I love him, mother, but because of my doubts, I lost him and I fear it's forever. Venelana, daughter, although I'm disappointed by your actions, I'm still your mother, and as such, it's my duty to help you emotionally. However, my support will go to the person who suffered the most in this situation. With that, the Gremory clan entered to discuss details about the assembly that would take place in a few hours. End of chapter. Chapter 7, Faction Assembly. In the Darkness territory, Issei's entourage got off the train and were surprised to see the castle that belongs to the white-haired man. It was an enormous castle with over 100 rooms, 6 bathrooms, a swimming pool, a thermal bath, among other luxuries. The group of young people went inside to unpack their clothes and prepare for the assembly of the 3 factions. A few hours later, everyone was ready to go to the meeting place using a magic circle. Assembly location. In a room sat Sirzechs, Seraphal, Agika, Asmodeus, Azazel, Baranquil, Penemu, Michael, and Gabriel. Behind them were the Gremory clan, Sitri, Irina, and Grayfia. Zirsech, alright, we're all here. It's time to begin the assembly. The reason I've called you here is to introduce the Darkness clan, led by the current Sekiryuutei and his peerage, looking at Issei and his companions. I'll also be discussing Issei's second queen. About a month ago, when we gave Issei his game, we were fascinated that he had 2 queen pieces, so we investigated the reason. After some experiments, we deduced that it's because of the enormous power he possesses. Everyone was surprised since he was the first to have 2 queens. Issei, as Sirzechs said, I have two queens, so I'll introduce them to you. He gestured for them to enter. My first queen is my girlfriend, Elizabeth Hyoudou. He pointed to the blonde. Eli, good afternoon, it's a pleasure. She bowed and then hugged the white-haired man. What? Issei, and my second and most recent queen piece. He extended his arms theatrically. She is Grayfia Lucifuge, Grayfia, it's a pleasure. She bowed and was hugged by the white-haired man. Everyone was stunned by the news that while the leaders knew Sirzechs' true wife, they didn't know she was Issei's queen. After explaining the situation, they moved on to the topic of the Chaos Brigade, which was causing disasters throughout the world and the underworld. The mission was to stop the organization before they carried out another terrorist attack. This mission was entrusted to the Darkness clan, Gremory and Sitri, as well as Irina, Roswace, and Gabriel, who wanted to go and succeeded by performing one of the most lethal maneuvers, one that not even a Mahu could handle. She spoke of puppy eyes, a technique that defeated everyone, earning her permission to go. The mission would take 2 days, allowing time to train and develop a strategy for victory. The white-haired man's team withdrew to train, taking Roswace, Penemu, and Gabriel with them. Gabriel didn't want to be separated from Issei since she had feelings for him, making the Gremory girls jealous as they couldn't speak to their beloved. Darkness Castle. A white-haired man and his entourage appeared at the castle, accompanied by an angel, a fallen angel, and a Valkyrie. They proceeded to prepare dinner for everyone. After dinner, everyone went to sleep, Issei's girls with him and the others in their rooms. In the morning, the sun's rays streamed through the window, revealing a naked, traumatized white-haired boy muttering about wild girls and something about being blown up, ha ha ha. After that amusing morning, everyone dressed and went downstairs to eat and decide what they would do that day. Issei, I'm going to train Ross, Gabriel, and Penemu. The aforementioned girls responded with a unanimous yes. Eli, I'm going to explore the territory to get to know it better. Sue, I'll accompany a lichen with stars in her eyes, eager to explore new lands. Vali, I'll visit Kuroka and Offis to take care of some business, signaling to Issei, who simply nodded in confirmation. Issei, and you, Grayfia, what are you going to do today? Grayfia, I want to spend more time with you, Issei, blushing at calling her boyfriend that. After finishing breakfast, they all went to do their activities. Issei's training. Issei was teaching them sword lessons, which Gabriel was a bit clumsy with. Afterward, they did physical exercises and increased their stamina, doing 200 squats, 500 sit-ups, and 3 laps around the training room, which was the size of a football stadium. That's how the first day went. The second day was the same, but with the difference that Ross asked him to join her peerage, and the others, seeing this, also asked him to. Issei gave them the following pieces. Roswise Rook, Gabriel Bishops, Penemu Pawn. By order of Issei Hyoudou, I ask you, Roswise, to live for me, be my tower, and lend me your power in battle, and let us seek Valhalla together. I laugh at loneliness and despise my enemies. Embrace your darkness and be mine. By order of Issei Hyoudou, I ask you, Gabriel, to join my family. You who are light and I who am darkness, let us bring balance to this world, and together we will usher in a new era. Become my bishop and help me fulfill my ambitions. By order of Issei Hyoudou, you will be reborn as My Pawn. You and I will share ambitions and our lust. Stay by my side forever and the world will recognize our strength. The price for hurting you is life and blood. As the chant ended, the pieces entered each of their chests, and a glow appeared where each had the tattoo of their designated piece. With the nobility almost complete, they settled down to rest for the next day. On the day of the mission, a white-haired man could be seen waking up to the sunlight streaming in, but when he tried to move, he was immobilized. When he checked why, he broke into a warm smile upon seeing his 7 girls lying around him. Eli and Sue on his chest, Vali and Grayfia on his left arm, Gabriel and Penemu on his right arm, and Ross on one of his legs. They were all completely naked, so Issei decided to sleep for another 5 minutes. After 2 hours, the white-haired man awoke alarmed because they were running late for the rendezvous point for the mission. He woke the girls and his entourage, and everyone got ready faster than the speed of light. When they were all ready, they headed to the rendezvous point. End of chapter. Chapter 8, Jealousy and Revelations. The entire darkness entourage appeared through a black and purple magic circle. Everyone was surprised, as the members of Issei's peerage had tattoos of their respective chess pieces on different parts of their bodies. Issei had the king tattooed on his right forearm on the palm side of his hand. Eli had the queen tattooed on her left breast, visible through her clothing. Sue had the bishop tattooed on her right leg. Sean had the knight tattooed on his left hand. Gabriel had the second bishop tattooed on his left leg. Vali had the pawn tattooed on his left forearm. Penemu also had a pawn tattooed on her left arm. Ross had the rook tattooed on her stomach near her belly. And finally, Grayfia had the second queen tattooed on her right breast. Everyone was surprised to see this mark, but the Gremory girls were the most affected, seething with jealousy. Besides the tattoo on his piece, most of the girls had the Sekiryuutei mark, meaning they had all been with the white-haired boy. They all ran to talk to Issei, but were shocked to see him walk right past them, ignoring them as he headed towards the faction leaders where he was embraced by Eli and Sue. When they arrived, the leaders spoke. Sirzechs, now that we're all here, we'll tell you what the mission is. We have information that the Chaos Brigade will appear here in a few moments. Azazel, the mission is to stop the brigade once and for all to prevent further terrorist attacks. Michael, we will all fight to protect the peace, so we must look out for each other, understood? Everyone sat down to prepare for battle. A few minutes passed before multiple magic circles appeared before them, from which emerged 500 people who appeared weak and 100 who appeared strong. But only one person exuded immense power. They were all of different races, from angels and demons to yokai. The entire DXD group and their leaders attacked the Chaos Brigade, beginning an epic battle. Everyone except Issei, the nobleman, attacked, demonstrating the difference in power as the terrorist members fell dead en masse. One of them was ready to kill Rias, but suddenly someone saved her. Not feeling the blow, the redhead opened her eyes to see who had saved her. When her vision cleared, she was surprised to see her Issei stopping the attack, but she was snapped out of her shock by Sirzechs' voice asking if she was all right. She rubbed her eyes to see Issei's form transform into that of her brother. Seeing that the white-haired boy hadn't saved her, she lowered her head in sadness. Everyone was fighting with all their might. Power without underestimating his opponents and using all his abilities. After an hour, Team DXD was losing due to the numerical difference. There were too many wounded, and they couldn't hold out much longer. Only 100 low-level members remained, and the 100 powerful ones were about to finish off the demon team when Issei increased his aura, making the faction leaders look ridiculous. They were shocked by the sheer size of his power. The 100 powerful ones knelt before the white-haired man, which left the low-level members bewildered. They launched themselves at the dragon, who didn't even flinch. A single small dragon shot was enough to eliminate them in a matter of seconds, leaving everyone speechless. Issei, you trash, do you dare raise your weapons against your leader? Angrily. Carlos, of course not, my lord, we would never offend you, Issei, bowing. Issei, I hope so. By the way, how long are you going to stand there, off eyes? Everyone looked up at the sky, stunned, as the goddess of infinity descended to stand before the white-haired boy and give him a passionate kiss that lasted 2 minutes before they separated for lack of air. Rias and the others could no longer contain their jealousy. Rias, hey, you leave our Issei alone. Akno East is mine alone. Asia Issei and how mean, if only he had asked me. Ko Issei you pervert. At these words, Issei only gave them a murderous and indifferent look that made the girls shudder with fear. Sirzech, Issei, why did the Chaos Brigade call you leader? Azazel, he's right. Explain yourself, Issei. The white-haired man only appeared annoyed by their question and reluctantly answered. Issei, I am the leader of the Chaos Brigade. That's how I met Volley and we formed a relationship, hugging the white-haired woman. 8 years ago I awakened my power, as did Drake, and together we trained with Eli, my first girlfriend, kissing the blonde. Years later, on an annihilation mission, I found a blue-haired girl about to be raped by some scum. She was too injured to defend herself, so without thinking twice, I massacred those bastards. After killing them, Sue and I spent time together, which led to a relationship. Before entering the academy, I left Off-Eyes in charge and hid my aura and power to appear as a simple human and live an ordinary life. But when I was abandoned, I decided to take my place as leader of the Chaos Brigade. Everyone was surprised, as the entire terrorist group had immense respect for the white-haired man, leaving them wondering how powerful he really was, that even the goddess of infinity would obey him. Off-Eyes had changed her appearance to please the white-haired boy more, and in front of everyone, Issei gave her 2 pawn pieces, which the dark-haired girl accepted with a smile on her face. By order of Issei Hyoudou, I ask you, Off-Eyes Ouroboros, the most powerful dragon A, to become my servant and family member. Darkness and infinity go well together, black and black make a good pair. Together we will achieve the silence you so desire. As he recited these words, the pieces entered her chest, and a glow appeared on the girl's upper back, revealing a pawn tattoo that shone just like the others' tattoos, surprising everyone and making certain girls jealous. As everyone departed, it became clear that the Chaos Brigade would be an ally of Issei, and that Kuroka, Lefei, and Ardor would live in Darkness Castle. Biku, however, would not be staying because he had returned to the mountains to train with his predecessor Son Goku and would be gone for a few months. Everyone went home, some crying, the Gremory group, and others happy. End of chapter. Chapter 9, New Tenants. The Darkness clan can be seen appearing in the castle. When everyone was in the room, the members of the white-haired noble family went to do various activities, leaving only Issei and the new tenants, who were amazed at the immensity of the castle, only to come out of their stupor upon hearing the boy speak. Issei, so what do you think of your new house? Smiling, everyone was surprised by what the boy said, because if they had heard correctly, they would be living in that mansion. The first to recover from the shock was Kuroka. Kuroka, really? We'll live here with you, Issei, Naya, smiling flirtatiously. Issei, of course you're all family and my friends, with one of his classic smiles. You can settle into any available room. Oh, and Arthur, I have a favor to ask. He said this looking at the blonde man, who could only manage a confused expression at what his friend had said. Arthur, what would that favor be, Issei? Intrigued tone. Issei, train with me, my knight and my future pawn. At this request, the blonde simply nodded, a hint of intrigue in his eyes as to who this pawn would be and why he would be training with a sword. Everyone separated, each heading towards their room. On the way to the stairs, someone knocked on the front door. A few seconds later, Grayfia opened the large, ornate door, leaving the two white-haired individuals speechless. It was none other than Venelana Bale, Rias' mother. The boy reacted quickly when he saw the brunette with tears in her eyes. Her exuberant Succubus wouldn't leave her alone with his constant attempts to win her back, which made the brunette uncomfortable as the redhead was sometimes aggressive and possessive. The white-haired boy approached the girl, and before she could say anything, he interrupted her with a hug, making Venelana blush. Issei, it's not good to keep the pain bottled up or try to suppress it, so if you want to let it out, I'm here for you. Whispering in her ear and hugging her tightly. With this gesture, the brunette began to cry uncontrollably, comforted by Issei. After a few minutes, the two separated. The white-haired man took her hand and led her to his room. Issei, Venelana, you're the mother of the girl who hurt me so much. At this, she lowered her head sadly, but since we shared moments together, I started to have feelings for you. At that time you were married, but now that you're single, I'd like you to give me the chance to make you happy. With these words, the brunette began to cry again, but this time tears of happiness. She smiled at Issei and moved closer to him, placing her arms around his chest, only to be returned in a hug and a light, loving kiss that lasted a minute. After the kiss, the brunette pushed the white-haired man onto the bed, climbing on top of him and unbuttoning her dress. He helped her, then removed her bra and sucked on her breasts, eliciting soft moans from her. Venelana revealed her perverted side, removing his shirt and nibbling all over his chest and neck. Issei followed suit, gently undressing her completely and massaging her breasts. After a few minutes, he began kissing her body from her neck down to her most intimate place, licking and using his tongue to pleasure her, making her moan. Several minutes later, after 3 orgasms, the white-haired man positioned his member at the entrance of the brunette's vagina. In a warm voice, he said, "Are you sure you want this? Once we do it, you'll be mine and you won't be able to do it with anyone else." Venelana replied, "I'm sure I only want you and I want to be your woman. I don't care if I have to share you, so do it now." Without thinking twice, the boy penetrated her in one thrust, making the brunette moan. Hearing that sound, the boy only increased the speed of his thrusts, while with his right hand he played with his beloved's breast and gave her a passionate kiss, increasing the speed even more, preventing the brunette from speaking as she begged for more with her tongue out. More, Issei, give me more, I like it, your hennies is the best," was all the MILF could barely manage to say, as nothing could be understood due to the great excitement she felt. Putting her on all fours, he began to enter and exit the girl with more force, making her come. After about 3 hours, the two were lying in loving embraces in bed before the brunette could speak. Venelana, I can't believe it, that was fabulous. I can't believe I came so many times. You're the best, Issei. With a mischievous smile, are you ready for round 2? Hehe. Issei, of course I am, you're fabulous in bed, I don't know how that idiot let you go. And so they both started again, but now the brunette climbed on top of the boy and taking his member inside her began to ride him, giving pleasure to both of them. This time they lasted 4 hours without rest. When he finished with her, they both slept peacefully with smiles on their faces. The next morning, Issei woke up early and went down to the training hall. Upon arriving, he saw his knight Sean and Arthur already there. A few minutes later, a beautiful girl came down whom everyone recognized, Griselda, Gabriel's Queen of Hearts. Once everyone was there, they began sword training, unaware that they were about to experience hell itself, as the blonde-haired boy was a true demon during training. End of chapter. Chapter 10, Dragon Legion. In the afternoon, a white-haired boy is seen, along with 2 redheads lying on the floor with chibi souls emerging from their mouths and a blonde boy with a smile leaving the room. Arthur, well, I think that's all for today. Tomorrow we'll continue with practice and I'll be stricter with you all. Issei, Arthur is truly a demon. With what little strength he had left. Shon, damn blonde boy, even for me his training is too much. Griselda, finally someone who lives up to my expectations, hahaha. At the redhead's comment, both boys felt a bead of sweat trickle down their necks. After recovering, the 3 went up to the kitchen to see Issei's girls preparing lunch. Seeing this, the white-haired boy approached Eli, wrapped his arms around her waist, and then gave her a tender kiss as she fed him a strawberry. This gesture made the other girls jealous, and each one claimed the boy's lips for her own enjoyment. They all sat down to eat, and halfway through the meal, King Darkness spoke in a serious tone. Issei, guys, as you know, I spoke with Sirzechs, and he proposed creating an anti-terrorism group which I'll call the Dragon Legion. But I want to know your opinion on this matter since you're my family and it wouldn't be fair not to include you. So what do you think? Eli, if that's what you want, my duty as your wife is to support you at all times. Smiling warmly. Grayfia, as your queen and girlfriend, my place is by your side because I love you, Issei. Speaking sweetly. Shon, that sounds interesting, that way I could fight strong opponents. Smiling maliciously. Sue, as long as I can be by your side, it doesn't matter where we are. Kissing the white-haired boy. Gabriel, I want to be with you, Issei. If you want it, you'll always have my love and support. ROSSWIC, that idea sounds good. As long as you're by my side, it doesn't matter. VALA, we've known each other for so long that you already know my answer, darling. Hugging the white-haired boy. PENEMUE, you helped and supported me when I left Gregory, so I support you, my Issei. OPHIS, I am your dragon, so together we will achieve our goals. Kissing the boy passionately. The aforementioned smiled upon hearing his entourage, then turned to look at the new tenants who simply nodded in response. Issei, okay, as of today, the Dragon Legion group is officially active. Since the DXD team is currently unstable, I will speak with the Mahis to determine the team's first mission. Story 2, what if Issei was trained by Slenderman and became the new king of Creepypasta? After Rias felt insecure and ended up hurting Issei, he met Slenderman who trained him to take the place of Creepy King. Issei the King's CREPYPSTA. Chapter 1, Finding a New Family. If you were asked what the most real feeling that exists is, without a doubt it would be anger. Anger is one of the fundamental truths and is one of the few feelings that are not an illusion. Issei could explain this feeling better since he is currently experiencing it firsthand. 3 years have passed since Issei became a demon. He fought countless times, died twice to protect those he loved, and even sacrificed himself several times for their well-being. And how was he repaid? By abandoning him out of insecurity. Before Issei graduated from high school, the girls had been wondering if they loved him as much as they claimed, and this led them to distance themselves from him, unaware that it was their fear of his power. Issei had grown stronger during these years and increasingly realized that the girls were leaving him behind. They no longer slept with him or spent time with him. This affected him deeply since, as a dragon, they draw their power from their emotions. Issei was dying because his power had turned into a poison that was slowly destroying him due to his love for Rias and the others. No one noticed that the brunette's health was deteriorating more and more, and so a few months passed until one day Issei was lying in his bed when he vomited blood. Issei, Drake, what's happening to me? DRAIG, partner, you're in the terminal phase of the dragon's fall. I'm sorry, but you'll die soon. Issei, what can I do, Drake? It's not my time to die yet, hee. Slight melancholic smile. DRAIG, the only thing you could do is the purification ritual to eliminate your feelings for the Gremory girl, but I can't guarantee it will work. Issei, it doesn't matter, just tell me what to do. At this point, we can't afford to reject any possibilities. So Drake told him to draw a circle with 8 smaller circles inside and give it 3 magnifications. The chestnut-haired boy did everything, and when he finished, he began to recite a chant that Drake had taught him. Issei, I the dragon of domination, red is my color as is blood. Using my light, I will heal my darkness. I accept what I am and expel my weakness. Love is an illusion and happiness a mirage. I despise sleep and laugh at infinity. I live to kill and kill to live. Now I am reborn as a free dragon to do as I please. When he finished chanting, the sphere in which Issei was trapped shattered, revealing a new Issei with a more muscular physique and longer hair, giving him the air of royalty. Issei, hey Drake, did the ritual work? DRAIG, I'm sorry, partner. The ritual only eliminated the feelings you had for them, but it didn't cure you. I estimate you have 2 days left to live, he said sadly. Issei, don't worry, Drake. I believe it was my destiny to die, but I'm glad I met you and fought by your side. After this scene, the brown-haired man quickly went up to his room and packed some clothes to leave the house without anyone noticing. He found a luxury hotel and paid for a whole year in advance with the money from the Oppai dragon and went to sleep. The next day, Issei decided to take a walk to spend the last day of his life. Crossing through an alley, he came across 2 police officers who had handcuffed a girl wearing a strange white mask with black eyes and mouth. The police officers tried to assault the girl. Police Officer 1. Ha, finally you bitch, you're going to pay for your crimes, but first I'm going to have a little fun with you, lascivious smile. Police Officer 2, that's right, we're not going to have a very good time together. Before one of them could grope her, he was punched by a brown-haired boy, sending him flying back several meters. Seeing his partner get punched, the other man pulled out a gun, pointed it at the brown-haired boy and fired, hitting him in the stomach and telling him to get down. Police Officer 1, he was just some immune trash. He couldn't finish because he was cut in half by the boy who had a grim look in his eyes. A red eye was the last thing the man saw before falling dead. Police Officer 2, you bastard. You let yourself get hurt on purpose to make us lower our guard. Spitting blood. Issei died with a sepulchral voice. And so, killing the last of them when the two police officers were on the ground, Issei finished them off by launching a small dragon shot, disintegrating their bodies and incinerating their souls. Issei, you're hurt. Offering her his hand to help her up, weren't you hurt? The girl just shook her head, blushing, but it wasn't noticeable because of the mask. Girl, my name is Jane the Killer, thanks for helping me with those scumbags. Issei, you're welcome, I'm glad you're alright, smiling. I was taking a walk around town, would you like to join me? Jane, why not, it sounds fun, clinging to Issei's arm. The couple went to the aquarium, the movies, the mall where Issei bought Jane some dresses, and finally to the park. It was already night and it started to rain, so they went to Issei's luxurious apartment. When they arrived, the brunette gave her a towel and new clothes to dry off, and then he went to take a shower. Minutes later, the brunette came out of the bathroom wearing only pants and shoes, revealing his toned torso, which made Jane blush. After finishing dinner, they were ready to go to sleep when Issei vomited blood again, startling his partner. Jane, are you okay, Issei? Alarmed. Issei, the truth is. After finishing explaining his situation, Jane had a sad expression, knowing that the person who was awakening feelings in her was going to die. After thinking for a few minutes, she said something that caught the brunette's attention. Jane, hey Issei, what if you became a specter? Maybe that would save your life. End of chapter. Chapter 2, Now I Am a Specter. After Jane made the proposal, Issei remained silent, pondering the offer before finally speaking after a few minutes. Issei, Jane, if I become a specter, will that save my life? Jane, I don't know, but there's a very high probability, she said with a serious expression. Issei, fine, but I have 3 conditions. 1, I want you to teach me everything about specters. 2, I'll choose my nickname. And 3, you'll stay by my side. He smiled, making Jane blush. She simply replied, yes. Well, what are we waiting for? When she finished speaking, Jane created a portal resembling a black hole for the two of them to enter. And upon emerging on the other side, the chestnut-haired man was surprised to see a luxurious cabin in the middle of a frightening forest. Upon knocking on the door, they were greeted by an extremely tall man, faceless and with entirely white skin. When he stared at Issei, he was startled because the man pulled a tentacle from his back and placed it on the brunette's forehead. After a few minutes, the man began to glow with a white light and change shape. Jane, how have you been, Slender? With a smile. Slenderman, fine Jane. Hello, my name is Slenderman, but you can call me Slender. What's your name, kid? Issei. My name is Hyoudou Issei. It's a pleasure to meet you, Slender. After introducing themselves, the 3 entered the house. Issei was sitting in the living room while Jane and Slender talked in the kitchen about the chestnut-haired boy's illness and turning him into a specter. Slender, Jane, do you think transforming him will save him from dying? Jane, I hope so. I don't really know why I feel this in my chest every time I see him. I feel happy when I'm with him, something I haven't felt in a long time. Slender, hahaha, it seems you've fallen in love, Jane, but that's fine. I can see that he has great power that could even surpass mine, so we can try to transform him. Having agreed, the two approached the chestnut-haired boy to begin the transformation ritual. Slender warned him that it would be painful and offered no guarantees. The ritual began and shadows ensnared Issei, entering him so intensely that he screamed with agony. After 30 minutes, his clothes were torn as if he had been attacked by an unimaginable beast, and blood gushed from his body. Without waiting any longer, Jane and Slender began healing him, giving him a bag of fresh blood that instantly healed Issei's wounds, causing him to awaken. Jane blushed. If he was a heartthrob before, now he could cause a level 4 nosebleed just by looking at him. Upon waking, the first thing Issei did was talk to his partner. Issei, hey Drake, tell me, did the ritual work? With hope in his eyes. Drag, partner, I'm glad you're still alive and becoming a specter saved you from dying. Looks like we'll be together a little longer, hee. Joking laugh. Issei just sighed, knowing his illness had been cured and he could rebuild his life with his new family. Dressing in his new clothes, like the one in the picture, dark blue jeans and black sneakers, he went down to the living room to find Jane sitting on a sofa with Slender already cooking. The brunette greeted them, seeing the girl blush. After eating, Slender told him that specters are malicious beings who kill people, mostly innocents, to satisfy their thirst for blood or just to pass the time, and that he, as one of them, would also feel those impulses, especially since several shadows had entered him. This even surprised Slender because the number of shadows indicates your aptitude for being a killer, and the brunette exceeded the highest parameter. He then told him about the other residents of the house. Slender and Jane led Issei to his first massacre. This took place on the streets of Kuoh, where a group of students were passing by. Issei hurried and stood on a corner to attract the girls' attention. Seeing how handsome he was, they were mesmerized and without thinking followed the brunette to an alley. The boys, seeing their dates leave, followed them only to witness a handsome brunette laughing malevolently as he said, "Your life is my toy, I feed on blood. Your fear amuses me. Your suffering is my energy and I live each day to hunt you. Everyone abandoned me, but it doesn't bother me anymore. Now with my own hands I can make you happy by killing you." At that moment, Issei's appearance changed, and his hair grew longer. Everyone was astonished by Issei's new appearance, but what truly terrified them was seeing him, with his bare hands, disembowel a boy as if he were butter, slashing his mouth into a smile and killing him instantly. Issei, all right, it's time to play. With that, the brunette massacred all the boys, revealing only his blood-red eyes that radiated a powerful energy. After finishing with the last boy, Issei surveyed his handiwork, seeing human remains scattered everywhere, along with whole and mangled organs and blood everywhere. At the end of the day's hunt, the three returned to the house where Jane and Issei went to his apartment to rest together in the same bed. Issei, Jane, I love you. I don't want you to leave my side or leave me alone. Jane, I love you too, my Issei, and I would never abandon you. You are my other half, and although I know I won't be the only one, I am first in your heart. Hyoudou earlier. All the factions were searching everywhere for Issei since he had disappeared a few days ago, and no one knew anything about him. As Sirzechs was walking down a street, he saw a group of boys following a brown-haired boy whom he recognized by his Sekiryuutei aura. Upon approaching, he was horrified by the massacre the boy had inflicted on his victims and his new forms. He then teleported to Azazel and Michael to discuss the new Issei. End of chapter. Chapter 3, First Mission. The leaders were gathered in a room when Sirzechs suddenly appeared from a magic circle, exalted. Everyone wore doubtful expressions until they heard what he was mumbling. Sirzechs, I found him, I finally found him. At this, the two were speechless before snapping out of their shock to pay attention to what the redhead was saying. After a few minutes, everyone's faces showed horror upon hearing what the brunette had done with the group of boys, something no one expected from him. Azazel, well, everyone turned to look at the fallen angel. What are we going to do with Issei? Convincing him to return is no longer an option. Michael, you're right, he already belongs to another faction. The only thing left is to try to form an alliance with the Spectres. Sirzechs, what I still don't understand is why he became a Spectre, if he and Rias, along with the others, have a relationship. That was a good question that the red-haired demon was going to investigate. Issei's apartment. In the chestnut-tired boy's apartment, a boy was waking up. When he turned his head, he saw a pretty girl hugging him, her leg intertwined with his. With the utmost gentleness, he slowly moved her to wake her up. Once he succeeded, they shared a small kiss before looking into each other's eyes and getting up. There was a comfortable silence between them, and you could see the aura of happiness in both of their voices. Jane had agreed to go to school, but with two conditions. First, the brunette would have to take her on a date, and second, after class, they would go killing. The two went down to the cafeteria for breakfast. After finishing, Issei created a black portal to go to the school, appearing a few blocks away. The two walked hand in hand under the gaze of all the students, eliciting varied reactions. The boys looked at Jane with lustful eyes and nosebleeds, while the girls looked at Issei with blushes and perverted looks, some even with blood on their noses. The couple, paying no attention, headed to the classroom to begin classes. Once in the classroom, Issei entered normally, ignoring the girls' sniffles, and sat in his seat. A few minutes later, the teacher entered and silenced the group. Teacher, young people, today we have a new student. I hope you will get along well with her and treat her with kindness. Everyone nodded in unison as a young woman with a spectacular figure entered. Her body was neither too small nor too large, it was perfectly balanced in every way. The girl introduced herself with a smile that made the boys blush. Jane, hello, good morning, my name is Jane Hyoudou, it's a pleasure, I hope we get along well. With a radiant smile. Upon hearing her name, everyone was shocked as she shared the surname of the school's new prince, a fact that baffled both boys and girls. They all murmured until one boy mustered the courage to ask her a question. Boy, Janeson, can I ask you something? The girl simply nodded. Is Hyoudou related to you, or what's your relationship with him? At the question, the dark-haired girl smiled mischievously, looking at the brown-haired boy, making him nervous with her answer. Jane, yes, he's my boyfriend and future husband. He's mine and mine alone, so no one should go near him, and I'm not interested in any other boy besides my Issei. With this response, everyone could have sworn they heard glass shatter. The entire classroom fell into a state of depression, as the most beautiful people in the class were already in relationships, and their chances of dating them had vanished. Jane walked towards the hundreds of girls who conveniently stood next to the brunette, and in the process, gave him a kiss full of love and desire in front of his fans. To say they were angry was like saying Sirzechs wasn't a siskin. The boys cursed the brunette for having gotten such a beautiful girl as Jane, and the girls shot murderous looks at her for having seduced their ideal prince. Classes passed like this until dismissal time, when Jane clung to the brunette's arm and with a smile like a child who'd been promised a toy, they prepared to leave the school. In an alley, they changed out of their uniforms into their assassin's clothes, and together they created a massacre, but this time all the people killed were criminals on the loose. The two made a good team, with Issei hypnotizing and immobilizing them, and Jane finishing the dismemberment. After completing their work of art, they were both covered in blood and sporting huge smiles. as the adrenaline rush of killing triggered the production of hormones that produced a sensation similar to arousal. They finished by sharing a passionate kiss, ignoring a man trying to escape despite his serious injuries. He noticed a girl in a purple hoodie with a smile on her face who simply told him go to sleep and then killed him. The two separated upon hearing a strange noise. Looking toward the sound, they were surprised to see the girl clapping sarcastically. Girl, very good work, but you should never let your guard down until you're sure everyone is dead, or you could be the ones who die, right, Jane? Smiling with pleasure at the sight. Jane, what does Nina want here? Why aren't you in the creepy house with the others? A little annoyed. The girl identified as Nina smiled to say, Nina, Slender sent me to join his team, the others will come later, remember the tournament is in 2 weeks. Jane then explained the tournament details to Issei, such as how the 4 Spectre leaders organized a fighting tournament where the 2 most powerful teams from each leader faced off until only one remained. The team in their house would then be rewarded with money, luxuries, and influence for being the strongest. After the explanation, Issei had a better understanding of the Spectre rankings, and the group of kids disappeared into a black portal leading to the brunette's apartment. End of chapter. Chapter 4, New Colleagues. In Issei's apartment, a group of 3 people, Jane, Nina, and Issei, were discussing their plans for the Creepypasta tournament. Nina, according to Slender Man, we're Team 1. Besides the 3 of us, there are 3 other members who will arrive later. In the meantime, we need to train. Jane, Nina's right. We need to come up with a strategy if we want to beat the other teams. Do you have any ideas, Issei? The best thing to do would be to train our skills and powers. Then we'll try teamwork until the others arrive. How about we take a walk around the city? At the brunette's suggestion, the girls nodded in agreement. Issei, by the way, Nina, would you like to live with us here in the creepy apartment? Nina, yes, I'd like to, Issei. Smiling sheepishly. Jane, what do you mean, Issei? Don't get so familiar, you little brat. Nina, who are you calling a little brat, you pale, horny thing? Angry face. Issei, calm down, everyone. We're going for a walk, okay? Before he could finish his sentence, the 2 girls were already clinging to one of the brunette's arms. The 3 of them left the apartment and headed to the park. When they arrived, they strolled around happily, laughing, and every now and then Issei teased the girls with compliments to make them blush. The 3 of them ate ice cream, with Jane feeding it to the brunette, much to Nina's annoyance, who made a cute pout. Afterward, they went to the arcade, the aquarium, and finally the shopping mall. During their outing, they ran into Vali, Issei's eternal rival, who looked at them with suspicion since, as far as he knew, the boy was dating the Gremory girl. Flashback. Vali was walking to pay his rival a visit as he'd been bored lately and didn't want to get rusty from lack of fights when he spotted the brunette in the distance. Vali, I'm so bored. I hope Issei can entertain me a bit, smiling mischievously. Wait a minute, that's not Issei, but what the heck, that pervert already has 2 more girls, hahaha, who would have thought? I wonder if the Gremory girl knows. Alvion, Vali, I sense that boy's aura is different, but I don't know what it is yet. It would be best if you followed him discreetly. Vali, if you say so, Alvion will follow him, not that we have anything better to do, haha. So the silver-haired man spied on them throughout the date, surprised to see how close the brunette and the older brunette were, not to mention that he seemed more psychologically mature and daring, something the silver-haired man never thought he would be since he knew the boy's attitude. Present time. The 3 were on their way back when a shadow appeared before them. It was a thin, dark figure that knelt before the brunette, displaying a hologram of Slender. Slender, kid, there are some rogue killers causing trouble. I need you to eliminate them discreetly and leave no witnesses. Kill them however you want. At the request, Issei smiled sadistically, exciting the 2 girls with how handsome he looked. Oh, and by the way, when you arrive, you'll meet your other companions, so try to get along. I'm leaving him in your care, Jane. She simply nodded. Issei, leave it to me, Slender. We'll take care of those lunatics. When the hologram disappeared, the shadow rose and, bowing, processed away without a trace. Vali was very surprised and had many questions, but he decided to follow them. Unfortunately for him, he wasn't expecting what he was about to see. Issei, are you ready, girls? He asked cheerfully, receiving a yes in response. Good then, it's time to play, ha. When he finished his sentence, the 3 held hands and began to run. When they had a short distance, they let go and gave a small jump, causing a portal as black as the abyss to appear in front of them. Each time one of them passed through, a ripple-like effect formed. When the 3 passed through the portal, it closed before the astonished eyes of a surprised Vali. Vali, hey Alvion, what do we do now? Alvion, I don't know, Vali. It's the first time I've seen someone do that. Try to track his power, we might find a faint trace of it. The silver-haired man closed his eyes and concentrated. At first, he couldn't detect even a trace. Using his power as a descendant of Lucifer, he focused everything to find the faintest hint of him. Vali, well, he's made you very strong indeed, forcing me to use my demonic power, and I expected nothing less from my dear rival. He smiled enthusiastically. Issei had appeared in a dark warehouse, where the killers that Slender mentioned were supposed to be. Issei, honey, I have a question. How were the killers formed? From what I understand, they're Jeff's followers or people who think like him. The brunette asked his question. Jane, that's easy, darling. That idiot Jeff wanted to grow the Creepypasta faction, so along with several crazy people who followed him and used the killers. They're similar to us, except some of them cause a lot of trouble and aren't careful, so they could cause us problems if they find out about us. Issei, I see. Then let the massacre begin. Ha ha ha. When the group of boys arrived at the door, they found 3 people they easily recognized. One of them was a beautiful little girl with brown hair, green eyes, and a salmon-colored dress. She was covered in blood and carrying a teddy bear. It was Sally. Another was a thin girl wearing a black hoodie with a blue mask that had black eyes, just like the substance he secreted from them, and blue jeans. He was eyeless Jack. The last one was another chestnut-haired boy with orange goggles, a scarf covering his mouth, and a grayish sweatshirt. He was Tubi. Issei, hey guys, it's been a while, smiling happily. Chapter 5, Team Meeting. When the surprise ended, Issei was the first to break the silence. Issei, guys, it's good to see you. Tell me how you've been in the Creepypasta, but now we have to exterminate some strays, so it's time to play. Con Issei. When he finished speaking, the group of kids nodded and went into the cellar. The first squad consisted of Issei, Jane, and Eilis. As they entered the door, they were met by a large number of boys and girls with grins plastered on their faces. Without hesitation, they charged at them. Issei drew a scythe and slashed wildly, ending the lives of many wayward souls forever. But it didn't end there. After cutting them down, the brown-haired boy dismembered them and licked the blood from the edge of his weapon. Running at great speed, he hurled his scythe, burying it in one of their chests. He then used the hilt to propel himself upward. Once airborne, he fired 2 blasts of dark power that, upon impact with 2 killers, rapidly rotted their internal organs, causing a painful death. He landed on a third, placing both hands on his head and his feet behind his back, his right hand gripping the chin and his left on the head. The objective was simple: break the neck and sever the head. The killer tried to remove his hands, placing them behind Issei's head, seeking the same goal and to save his own life. Unfortunately for him, his neck gave way first. The brown-haired man took the head and turned it into a keychain, hanging it from his belt as he watched the others fight. With Jane. She drew her knife and began a confrontation with the strays, slashing their jugular veins. Displaying her hand-to-hand combat skills, she faced 4 lunatics, breaking several of their bones in the process. When she finished, she barely had time to shield herself with her arms in an X shape, blocking a kick from a girl who was grinning from ear to ear. Jane, I hope you can keep up with me. The girl just smiled confidently and they exchanged punches and kicks, making varied combinations. Neither gave an inch. They continued like this for a while until Jane made 3 taps with her fingers, one on the chest, another on the solar plexus, and the last on the head. This caused the girl to fall heavily to the ground, blood pouring from her mouth, eyes, and ears. Why, simple. Jane compressed dark power and transferred it to the girl's veins, causing them to explode and killing her instantly. Con Eilis. He stood there looking bored as if it were a children's game. The killers were confident, believing Eilis was afraid, so one of them lunged at him, stabbing him with a knife and raising a cloud of dust. Thinking they had eliminated him, the wayward one indulged in boasting. Wayward, looks like he was just a loser, hahaha, go to sleep, useless. All the assassins were celebrating with laughter until a voice instinctively froze their blood, making them turn towards its source. Eilis, sorry, but it's still too early for me to sleep, but I think the baby's nap time has passed, right? Hahaha, bomb bitch. As he finished speaking, he took off running at astonishing speed, making clean cuts to the jugular veins, causing a swift death. When he stopped, several strays surrounded him, ready to attack, but Eilis, from a pocket dimension, pulled out an axe and threw it at one of their heads, shattering it in the process. He spun in circles, giving the impression of dancing, displaying superiority and grace over his enemies, fulfilling his objective, which was to increase the space for him to maneuver more comfortably. He was so focused on dodging and attacking that he didn't notice a girl sneaking up behind him. Seeing an opportunity, she plunged a short knife into him, causing Jack to double over from the impact. The tension was palpable, no one knew what to do, and they were on high alert. They knew that wasn't enough to kill him, but they held a glimmer of hope. Suddenly, the masked boy moved, arming everyone in the place in an instant, and with a swift turn, he plunged a knife into the girl's kidney, much to the dismay of the others. Distraught and fearful as they watched him turn the knife and remove the poor girl's kidney, causing her great pain, the killers were surprised and scared as the boy opened part of his mask, revealing teeth as white as the full moon, and began to chew the organ, staining his white teeth a beautiful yet horrifying crimson. The minutes seemed like hours. No one could tear their gaze away from that horrible scene, amidst the girl's screams of pain, which were drowned out by the sound of the masked man chewing. After a few minutes, the boy finished his snack and, smiling sharply, said, Eilis, disgusting, it tastes worse than shit, but I'll give you the honor of becoming my food, scum. No one could utter a word. They had seen the boy devour his companion as if she were a hamburger. The strangest thing was the liquid that began to ooze from his eyes and mouth, giving him a more sinister appearance. And the last thing they saw was that mask, recognizing him as the famous eyeless Jack. Silence reigned after he finished them all off, revealing a small river of blood flowing beside him, and Jack admiring his work of art made with the flesh and blood of his victims. Con Tubi. He was mercilessly massacring killers, slashing left and right without a preferred spot, dismembering and severing parts of some unfortunate killers who dared to attack him. No one could see his face because with the goggles and the bandana, it wasn't clearly visible, but of one thing they were sure. That guy was the devil himself when it came to fighting. He made precise cuts and never missed. Everyone started to back away due to the fear they felt, and one of them spoke. "Wayward, why are you doing this? Letting us live, please? You'll never see us again. Let us escape, I beg you." After saying that, Toby simply smiled tenderly, giving the killers hope until his smile turned dark, foreshadowing pain, and with a hoarse but beautiful voice he said the last words they would ever hear. "Toby, since when does the devil give you free samples?" Everyone froze at those words, unaware that their attacker was approaching them, sliding under one of them and striking one in the head with his axe, deflecting the blow with the other. Moving swiftly and skillfully, he drew his weapon from the killer's corpse and slashed twice in the air, creating shockwaves that cut through everything they touched, killing several strays. He cut open one man's stomach, causing him to double over in pain. He used him as a platform to perform a parkour move, leaping over him and kicking his rivals away. Ducking, he dodged a blow from a thin boy who at first glance seemed powerful, starting a fight of fists, cuts, kicks, and everything else that lasted several minutes. Neither of them gave their enemy any quarter until they stopped for a moment. "Toby, you're good, I must admit, but you're still 1,000 years away from being able to hurt me. Unfortunately, time is a resource you lack and are indifferent to, so like all good things, this has to end." With a new round, they engaged in the fight, but the boy was very tired, and that was noticeable, while on the contrary Toby showed no signs of exhaustion. The minutes passed, and the disadvantage in condition became noticeable in the result of the fight, giving the victory to our dear Toby. Nina made sure to protect Sally since she still didn't have full control of her powers. By that I mean she tends to lose control, and with her immense power she wreaks havoc, resulting in harm to herself or others. She was doing well until a rogue kamikaze self-destructed, intending to hurt the two girls. Everyone had already finished their fights, and by the time they noticed, it was too late. They could do nothing but watch the inevitable. Just as it was about to explode, time stopped, and by the time it started running again, the kamikaze was on the other side of the warehouse imploding. The group of kids was dismayed by what had happened when a slender girl with ample curves appeared before them. They immediately recognized her. It was their friend Clockwork. "Issei, come out, are you okay?" Running towards her, "Tell me they didn't hurt you." "Sali, I'm fine, Dad, don't worry." Smiling. Everyone was surprised by the way Sally called the chestnut-tired boy, but they let it go when the girl spoke again. "Issei, why did you call me Dad?" Confused. "Sali, I think it's because you always take care of me and play with me, so I think I started to love you like a dad, or can't I?" Making puppy dog eyes, a technique so ancient and dangerous that only a few have been able to achieve due to its high level of cuteness. Smiling. "Issei, of course you can call me Dad. Nothing would make me happier than having you as my daughter, so from now on you'll be Sally Hyoudou. Do you like it, daughter?" Receiving a nod from his daughter, "Well, moving on to other matters, what are you doing here, Clock?" After this touching moment, and after Jane fantasized about a family with the chestnut-tired man, just as Nina did, everyone turned their attention to the aforementioned women in search of answers. "Clockwork, nothing, I just came to join your team since I left. I don't think they'll let you into the tournament, will they?" Everyone nodded in agreement. "Well, now that everything's settled, we can go to the house for dinner." Happy. Everyone agreed, and no one wanted to dwell on the matter, so they happily headed to the apartment to sleep. But not before Issei asked what they wanted for dinner, eliciting different responses. Tacos from Jane, who was dancing like a little girl. Paella from Nina, who was rumbling her stomach. Ice cream and sweets from Sally, who was drooling and jumping for joy. Carne asada from Clock with a lustful smile that scared the brunette. Crepes from Toby, who had stars in his eyes, until it was Jack's turn, who enthusiastically said, "Kidneys. That's the food the gods gave us mere mortals." Striking an exaggerated listal pose that made everyone sweat. Issei, "No, Jack, we already know how you get when you eat kidneys," pointing his finger while Jack drew circles on the ground, crouching with a depressive aura, muttering things about divine food and chestnuts who don't know about good food. "What do you think about having a barbecue instead? That way we can combine all your suggestions," to which everyone shouted "Aaayyy." They prepared to leave without realizing that an albino had witnessed everything, and to say he was stunned was an understatement. He couldn't believe that such a bloodthirsty and powerful boy was his perverted rival, so he decided to leave that place to process what he had witnessed. "Vali, hey Alvian, was that guy really Hyoudou Issei? I don't know what happened to him, but he's very different from when we first met him." "Alvion, you can't keep following him, Volley. Besides, his aura is very different. It could easily surpass yours, not to mention that all you can sense is bloodlust and darkness. You'd better stay away until we know what happened to him, okay? VALA, I think you're right, Albion. We should get away for a while and ask Azazel what's going on. Thus cutting off communication and disappearing from the place, none of the boys noticed the presence of a slender man with pure white skin wearing a black suit. Unknown, wow kid, it seems you have a great future as the next leader of the Spectre faction. It seems Slenderman wasn't wrong about you, you have potential, but I wonder if with your current power you'll be able to stop what's coming. With a serious expression, he disappears from the place.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.